everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the Hot Cones and Popcorn Podcast. For those who don't know, my name is Danielle.
My name is Brianna.
And my name is Bobby.
And one of the things that we like to do on this podcast is review movies and TV shows that are popular in Black culture that we just haven't seen because we are behind. So we're going to discuss our thoughts, our feelings as Delane'S, and we're going to rate the movies on a scale from 1 to 5 hot cones. All right, so today we are doing the 5 heartbeats. Sorry, I had to pause.
Your time, take your time.
Take your time, child.
It was going so well. Okay, so we will be rating the movies on 1 to 5 hot cones, and today we are reviewing the 5 heartbeats. So it was written by Robert Townsend and Keenen Ivory Wayans.
It's unclear. It's
okay.
I never knew.
It was written by Robert Townsend and Keenen Ivory Wayans, and it was also directed by Robert Townsend. It has a cast that has some familiar faces, some not so familiar faces. Some we'll dive into a little bit later. But it was released in March of 1991. It was rated R, had a runtime of 2 hours and 2 minutes. So like for a quick synopsis, it followed a group of singers in the 1960s, and it shows like their ups and downs of their career and their family lives and how they dealt with that as a group. So, ladies, how did we feel about the 5 heartbeats?
I loved it.
I love it.
I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great, considering the fact that this is a group that, being a Zillennial, I thought was a real group, be the way Black people talked about it.
Wait.
This is an actual music group. This is fictional.
Bobby's
fictional, not real.
I didn't know.
I didn't either. Okay, it's based off of like a plethora of people and like Motown music. It's just like a whole lot going on. But you fooled me. Okay, they fooled me.
Yeah.
I thought it was
confused because like at the end of the movie they show a picture of the group after the credits, and I was like, now wait a minute, are they the 5 heartbeats? And then I realized after some research that those were the Dells, who were one of the groups that they based it off of, but the Dells also sang a lot of the music in the actual movie. So I was like, huh.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This entire time I was low-key embarrassed of myself because I thought, I know this is a safe space, y'all. I thought that this was going to be like the Temptations origin story, and they just started off as the 5 heartbeats. And I didn't know. I didn't know.
That.
I wasn't far away from that.
I also thought they were real. I even Googled it while I was watching the movie. I Googled the 5 heartbeats, and I'm scrolling like, what do they look like now? What happened to them today? But that information wasn't coming up. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to find out. And I never did.
Right. See, I really enjoyed it. I thought the music was great in it. I realized I had seen one of the scenes in it when Duck and his little sister were singing a song and dancing around the room. I've seen that before I actually watched the movie, but I had no idea what movie it was from. And I was like, oh, this is cute, little sing, dance, whatever. But when I saw the movie, I don't know. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any of the plot. I just was going on vibes. And I was like, all right, we're going to see what this is about. But there were some things that I just had questions about that I was just like, this don't make sense. Mm-hmm. And one of them was Tanya, who was Duck's dream girl or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, when he first approached her, he was like, oh, I've been sending you poetry and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't think you should come back here. And I'm like, well, why? And they never addressed that. And then she just pops out of nowhere in the end of the movie. And I'm like, this don't make sense.
Yeah, that did not. Wait, she wasn't his fiance, was she?
She was.
She was.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I'm confused now. They never. Where was the middle of that love story?
I think it's because I think it's because of the triangle with Duck and JT. Because like all throughout the movie, every time they were each other's wingmen, JT would just steal Duck's woman. And so I think they probably Duck was like feeling Tanya, but I feel like JT and Tanya had a thing for a minute that was always on the low. And then when Duck started to catch on, that's when like the hotel room scene, they started arguing. And then it came out.
I didn't even think about it, that JT could have been with Tanya from the jump. Like,
yeah. Well, she said that we were together once or something, like in the hotel room. Mm-hmm. So what is the truth?
Right. Like, what is the story?
Yeah.
I love you, but I'm in love with Duck. And I'm like, so why are you sleeping with his brother?
I just assumed it was because JT was a player. Like, it just seemed like women was a big part of his storyline. Mm-hmm. And like every time he didn't get a woman, or he felt like that new lead person, Flash, was taking over, this man was distraught. And I was just like, I'm not understanding. I mean, for me, Duck is better than me. I cannot say, even 30 years later, if I'd be at a barbecue with this man, okay, that's great that you named your child after me, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. But you know, lighthearted, feel good, that's what was happening. So I let it happen. But that's what I assumed, that JT and old girl had a thing for a minute, because he was just giving very scandalous behavior.
Very. And I truly wanted to see Duck beat his ass, because like the stage was the perfect moment to do it. You know how you call him a selfish motherfucker in the microphone and then just leave? No, bitch. Let's get to fighting. That's what I was here for.
My feelings was so hurt for Duck when he went to that hotel room and the bellhop was like, yes, I got 2 heartbeat signatures in one night. I was like, oh no.
No, too soon.
It's raining. It was too much. I felt so bad. I don't think Duck is a fighter though. I think Duck might lose that fight.
For sure.
No, they were scrapping on stage.
That was scrapping.
He took some clothes off. He was like,
but they switched it around. But they made it a thing.
They did, which was cute.
That was clever.
Because the second time I was like, so y'all gonna fight every time you on stage? I didn't see it coming. I was like, what twist?
Right.
What?
And the manager, he's like, it's fine. It's, it's gonna work.
Right. I'm like,
about to beat each other. What are you talking about?
They were rolling on the floor.
Rolling in the deep. It was ridiculous. Yes. And he was like, they just need some training. What?
Like, sir, you better go get your boys out there. Okay.
I'm saying that was just too much, but I will say I wanted to see more studio performances, like when him and Tanya, not Tanya, the sister, I guess she never got a name.
You don't have a name. It just say Duck's sister in the credits. Like,
oh, come on.
Have a name.
They could have tried a little harder with that one, but I will say, like, their little performance was cute or whatever, but I was like, she is not on the studio version, and I would love to hear the studio version. And she also wrote the song
on the studio version.
Right. So I wish that they had like shown more of their studio performances instead of like the bedroom boogie, which was cute, but she wasn't even like a character, like why was she there? It was a little weird.
Yeah. It was I don't know. I also kind of wanted to see more. Some of the scenes like just progressed a little too fast for me. Yeah. Like when Red, who had problems, he had problems.
Okay. This man was unhinged, boy.
That man said 9 to 5.
Not 9 to 5. He said, "What is my business hours? What are you not listening to?" Like, I was like, "Well, dang, fine."
Right? Window, got it. When like he was just found guilty for being involved with oh my gosh, what was the manager's name?
Oh,
Jimmy's accident. I was like, so we're just moving on because like 2 seconds ago we were at a funeral and now he's guilty. So I was also like finding it hard to grasp the time frame of what was happening, because I remember like after I watched it, I read back that like there was a 3-year period between, I don't remember what scene it was, but I was like, I didn't get 3 years. Like I didn't notice that there was a 3-year period. So like some of the things just took an entire gap. Now they did put the years on it, I will say that, which I thought was helpful. But I don't know. It just had like a weird progression at times. I don't know.
Yes, that was another note that I had. Like I was lost.
Yeah.
I like
Really?
as soon as the scene is getting started, we're already out of the scene. Like it's a little bit too cutty for me. And I wouldn't even call it camp. Like the editing style, like it kind of bothered me the entire time. And in my Google search, it said that like it's it's about the rise and fall of the 5 heartbeats over a span of 7 years. And so I'm sitting there doing the math and it's just not adding up how like certain years we were there for like 5 minutes and other years it's an hour. And so I don't know if it's just me being watching a lot of like current movies, but I've seen movies do like a 7 to 10 year time period and it makes perfect sense. But this one, it kind of fell short for me in that sense.
I'm gonna be honest. Hi guys. We're all in the film industry, right? And I do love film. This movie was 2 hours and 2 minutes. I didn't need it to be a minute longer. I can't sit comfortably through 2.5 hour movies anymore. I was here with it. When I looked up it on Google, it said that it ranged from 1960s to the end of the movie, which was 1990. So it said that it was like a 30-year decade time period, but I think you're right. Like it only showed the first couple of like less of half of a decade that they were doing this for. Yeah, I thought it was great. I honestly, the ending, I don't know, maybe I took into account that it was the 90s. And I took into account that, it was made in the, probably 80s, 90s. But I took into account that like people from like the 60s to the 70s don't look different. Like there is no really change in dress, style. Like the 25-year-olds look 50. So there's no way for me to really know like the age of people.
Everyone had a suit on.
Okay. Right. Everyone is just like grandpa energy. Like it's just like a thing. Now I will say that what's his name? Eddie. I think Eddie's progression with drugs helped me figure out the time period because he was the only character that actually physically went through a change during that time, and you were able to keep up there. It felt very 90s and it felt very to the point. Like, I feel like movies don't do that anymore. It's a lot of explanation of what's happening in scenes versus I feel like back then, that's why they were so short. Movies were like, this is happening. This is happening. This is happening. I feel like that's what happened in the movie to me, in that they were mixing up a lot of like time frames, but also felt relevant. Like, example, the scene where they had to sing for the police officers, I was triggered. I was upset. I was like, this is giving me like dance for me boy energy.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was uncomfortable. But then they were like bounce in and out of that. So I feel like, I don't know. It was great.
Yeah, it was very exposition-y for sure. Like when he bought his mom a new house, I was waiting for the reveal, but then he said, open your eyes, it's a new house. And then they showed the new house. I was like, what?
Yes.
Like you could have just showed us the new house. Like we would have gotten it, but okay.
Yeah.
I feel like with the racism, I was expecting a little bit more because they said it was the 60s, 70s, and like, I don't know, like they showed that scene and then they showed like how they put the white people on the album cover instead of their faces, and they didn't really go past that. They just said, oh, we're gonna talk to Red and blah blah, and I don't think they like mentioned anything about that afterwards. Like they just like left it at that. So I'm like, so did the white people stay on the album or? Yeah. So I thought that there was going to be more showing of racism, but I did also get the idea that they were in like the north region somewhere, some city in the north. So I'm assuming that they didn't. That was their time in the South, and that was kind of it. But
I
like,
thought that
big.
It was influenced by Motown, which we know is what, Detroit. So I feel like it was more, especially just like from the streets and stuff they were on. They were definitely in like in a city. Like even when they traveled, they kind of just traveled from cities to cities. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely expected more racism, but I was kind of happy that there wasn't. I feel like it allowed the viewer to like stick into the story of the individuals not involving race, because they had so much other stuff going on, you know, that like the little hints of racism that they did, like the 5 guys that were singing their song, I think like the 5 white dudes who ended up being like Flash's backup singer people, hilarious. It was like very subtle. It was very subtle, even though it was based in the 1960s. It was giving very heavy 90s vibes of how stories were told back then. So yeah, the exposition was very like simple to the point. Hey, here's a house. Bam, there's a house. Cut to the next scene. Like it wasn't a whole lot of like in-depth like A24 type of cinematography. Like it was very, very simple.
So was there any points in the movie that you guys just like disliked? Or even not a scene, but just like something in general that you just really didn't like about the movie?
When they first started fighting on stage, I was pissed. I was like, what y'all doing? Save face. But
other
than that, I wasn't ever like upset. I mean, the racism scene was upsetting. I personally I like my movies without racism, but I do also understand that sometimes you just have to show the reality of the situation. But no, it was cute. No, something that did bump is that when they weren't wearing matching outfits that second time that they went on stage at the talent show, I'm like, are y'all trying to win or not?
I thought that exact thing. I was like, so the other groups have matching outfits. Did y'all just say we're gonna be individuals in a group, or like what? Yeah. What was the point?
That was really it. Like they won anyway, which bumped for me. So I'm like, where's the outfits?
My answer, were there scenes that I did not like? Do you see that? You see that? Oh. You see that right there? Yeah. That's my reality. For
the listeners, it says none.
It said none. In green ink specifically. Yeah, my notes say that, I don't have it. Can I say a highlight? Because I don't have any lowlights, so I have nothing to say. The highlight, Robert Townsend. Okay. There is something about that era when directors and Black directors were in their own movies. He was so good in this movie. I forgot he directed it. Like,
yes,
I completely forgot. I forgot he wrote it. I forgot he directed it. I was looking at like doing my Googling, right? And I don't know how I stumbled upon this, but then I found out that his daughter is on Black Lady Sketch Show. Never put it 2 and 2 together. Never put 2 and 2 together. Until I looked it up.
Wow.
And she looks like him when he was younger. Like now his face is like more filled out and stuff like that. But when you look them up together, they look alike. And I was just like,
don't worry,
Robert,
right. I'm about to be like,
has so much influence in like Black cinema and stuff back then. I gotta give him his flowers. The fact that he wrote this and was a main character in it and didn't give his character like I wouldn't even say Duck was like a hero in the movie at all. Like he didn't glorify his character or give himself necessarily the best part. Like his character was down bad a couple of times. Like wasn't living the dream, but it was so good. And along with that, gotta give a shout out to Keenan Ivory Wayans, because the legacy that the Wayans family has is specifically him, ridiculous. Like the fact that they wrote this together, the fact that I, a Zillennial, a Black person, did not know that this was not a real group until like 2 years ago.
Literally.
That's how much people talk about it and love it and reference it. And I think they only had one song, which was the song that he made with his sister. But like that's
truly icon status.
Very, I mean, what can I say?
Something that I'll never understand though is just like generally how actors are able to star in a movie and direct, because how are you gonna do both jobs when they're both like extremely intricate and complicated, and like the weight of the production is already on your shoulders as the director, as the actor, but as the director and the actor, talent.
Yeah. And the writer too.
And talent.
How do you have the time? That's what I want to know.
Because mentally, I'm watching a scene with him in it, and I'm like, now who's sitting in the director's chair? Because you gotta watch the playback over here on this monitor, and you gotta, and it's like, I feel like that was bigger then. Like nowadays, we know more so people like Tyler Perry who do it, but it was way bigger back then of people directing and writing their own movies and being in it and still giving good performances. Like.
Yes, like how does that work? Like I truly want to know, like, do you do the take and then go watch the playback, or do you do the whole scene and then watch the playback, or you just not watch playback at all? You just wait for the dailies.
Do you just have like does your AD watch it for you? Like what? I don't.
Or do you just trust yourself?
Like,
you just know.
Yeah.
To me, my question for him would be, how do you separate you as an actor looking at the character versus you as a director looking at the character? Because I would assume
you're looking at the character,
right? You would direct yourself as the director, right? But like you still have some type of like creative responsibility as an actor. I don't know. My brain would be split in half. That's why I don't do
it.
Yeah, and will not ever. Truly,
and will
not my ministry.
Hats off to him, because that is very impressive. Yes. I know, like for me, I have a lot of highlights in this movie because I really enjoy it. I was sitting there, bopping along. But the one thing that really annoyed me was some of the lip sync was so bad. It was so bad. And I'm just sitting there like, you're not singing this song. You're not singing this song. Like, I don't know. Now, I did think that because I thought they were a group, like, for real, I thought that this was the songs of the Heartbeats, like Bobby was saying before. So I'm like, okay, like maybe they just re-recorded this and they had to, I don't know what I thought, but I was like, the lip syncing is off. And it got better like as the movie progressed, but I was just sitting there like, this not really hitting for me. But that was just honestly, that was one of the only things that I didn't like. I loved how they had the characters age in the movie because I thought that looked really good, especially Eddie. Like I know his wasn't necessarily age as much as it was drugs. So like the way that they did his makeup and they did his whatever, like
that
man was on drugs and he looked.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Okay, let me tell you.
Okay. They did their research. They're like, we know what you're gonna look like. And it's this.
Dead ass. I mean, it's not like they was out of the era in the 90s. So
okay.
I do have a low light, but Bobby, you go first. I just thought about it.
Oh, I don't have a specific low light, really. Besides the cuttiness and whatnot, like that's really it for I didn't even notice the lip syncing.
I didn't notice. I
thought Robert Townsend could actually sing. I was like, damn, Robert, okay.
Now him, I did think his was really good.
But like, I just assumed they sang the other people's songs in the movie as their song. Like the first song they sang, was it A Heart Is Not a Home or A Heart Is a Home? It's by the Dales, but I just assumed they were singing the song by the Dales. I had no idea the Dales were singing it. Like, over my head.
Yeah, what's your low light?
Okay. This is going to be very, this is going to be an opinion from 2022.
Oh, shit.
Diane Carroll's character should have beat Big Red's ass. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I know that they weren't doing that back in the 60s and they wasn't like fighting like that. But for you to come to this man's funeral that you ordered a hit out on and come up to his grieving wife in front of the dead body and say, if you need somebody,
say that.
You don't want to be alone. The slap wasn't enough for me. He deserved his ass torn up on, and it shouldn't even have been her. It was too many men sitting around her.
Yeah,
that was watching that happen.
And all of them already knew what had happened. I think
exactly. So, like all that beef that y'all gave Eddie in the corner or the alley when he fought him in the alley because he knew what happened to Jimmy. All that energy should have went to Big Red. Because
that guilty verdict wasn't enough. Like you could get your ass beat in prison, that's fine, but I'm also going to beat your ass. I need to know that I was the one that did it.
And I needed to happen at the funeral.
Yes.
I peeped that like Big Red did not wear black. He wore like a tan suit to this man's funeral. Everybody else wearing black.
Come on, costume designer.
He did, and he came down like the aisle with a rose.
His little rose and his little.
I'm like, you dusty menace over here, Tom. Like you care,
right?
You gonna say something to her? Oh,
he's like, if you need a man to help you through this,
absolutely not. But you know what? I'm surprised we hadn't talked about Diane Carroll yet. This is the first Diane Carroll movie I've ever seen in my life.
I think me too.
I'm gonna be honest. If I've seen her in a movie, I didn't know.
Okay, or that.
Like, wait, maybe that's not true. I think I've seen her in TV, but like I can't think of a specific movie.
Let me see.
Was she in a Tyler Perry movie?
She's been in
I've seen it. For me, it's like I've seen her name and I've seen her face, but they've never correlated as the same person. So that's what I'm saying. Like I probably have seen her in a movie and just didn't realize it was her.
Yeah. She's been in Half and Half as Grandma Ruth Thorne.
I didn't watch Half and Half.
Okay. So. I'm trying to see what else, y'all. Oh, she's been in A Different World. She was in 9
episodes. How I know her. She was Delane's mom in A Different World.
There you go. The scene. That's the scene, right? That's the scene. That's the scene.
Yeah. Patti LaBelle was Dwayne's mom.
Okay. Well, she was Marion Gilbert. I've never seen A Different World.
Okay. She was Whitley's mom. I'm sorry.
Oh, Gilbert, Whitley, yes. Gilbert. That's her. Okay.
So it is the scene that I'm talking about, the flower scene.
Yes.
Okay, like, that's what I was like. I'm pretty sure when they were like talking about each other. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outside of that, still don't know. But that scene, I seen that scene and I know who that is. So yeah.
Okay. So we, now I didn't like recognize a lot of the other cast though, and I looked it up and they said that because they had like such a like smaller budget for this movie, they got like a few celebrities that like people knew, like Diane Carroll, but like the rest of them, they got actors who were like up and coming or who hadn't had like a lot of credits and stuff, which I thought was interesting.
I think that's all.
Yeah.
I know Spike Lee did that a lot.
Yep. Halle Berry, she was one of them.
I mean, for me, when I was looking it up, because Robert Townsend looks so much, he looks so much more like, I don't even know how, he just looks different now as an adult than when he did then. When I was originally looking up the cast, I still didn't know who he played in the movie.
Oh shit.
Like until maybe like 30 minutes in, because he was younger, his face is more filled out now. Like I had never really seen his face for real, hence the reason why I didn't know like Sky was his daughter. So I didn't know when I saw it. I was like, but who is this person? And then they said Duck, and I was like, oh. And then when I like really looked, I was like, okay. I had to see progressions of him throughout the years because he looks related to his old self, but I just didn't know like that's who that was. But I mean, other than that, I didn't recognize anybody in it anyway. I recognize the guy his name is Sarge in the movie, but I didn't know his name in the movie. To know. But the dancing coach guy, I recognized him.
John Witherspoon.
John, of course, John Witherspoon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was the only other one. I was like, know that face. I know some.
You might be the only one, but I know one.
The only one. Yes.
Yeah.
I was also laughing because like I've always seen the meme where the girl's like,
oh yes.
And I was like,
yes. In the theater, she was like,
she was living. Yes. That was the best day of her entire life.
Yes.
That scene was so funny. I was like, girl, you finna have an orgasm in front of me.
She passed out.
It was different back then, cause she was.
And then she ran out, and I was like, "Ma'am, stand up,
Right, girl. Like, could you imagine something like that happening today? Like, someone like fucking I can't think of anybody that's not problematic.
No, they be doing it for the old, like the older generation than us. Like they be doing it for people like Genuine and stuff. Like concerts, the aunties be going crazy.
The aunties be a little reckless at them concerts. Okay,
you gotta check them.
Okay.
Nobody from my generation exudes that energy, but the aunties, they be wanting them. Some of them, like
I can't think of nobody that like in our generation that would do that. Besides, like, maybe like a Chris Brown or something. That one feels too easy.
I would say Jadena. Don't start me, Daniel.
Don't get her started.
Don't start me, Daniel. Don't start it.
That's your man.
I'm just saying that I know, especially when the All-Stars game happened in Chicago and he was like one of the players, I seen a lot of videos of them after parties, and the dancing was happening. The grinding was a thing. So
he did what he needed to do.
Hey, I'm not mad. I'm jealous.
That. Yes, I do have a very specific highlight. Well, I have two. Okay. That happened in the same scene. The last scene, second to last scene, when Robert Townsend, Duck, walks into the church and sits down, he goes, "Take your time." I'm like, that line hit different. And anytime there's a Black church scene, I'm living. Anytime. That entire moment, I was like, it just felt personal. It felt real. I've been there. I heavily relate. That was probably like the one time that I was able to heavily relate to the movie, as far as I've never been on stage like that. I'm not a singer, but I have been to church. In that, yes, I was feeling it, moved, if you will. Yes, that was my highlight. That scene.
It was giving Rue redemption story. I would like to see it happen in Euphoria. Okay, we've already seen her on one stage. We already got a part of her singing songs. I'm just saying.
When they say, if anyone wants to come to Jesus, and she walks down that aisle, all slow.
The audience, you know, Black people, we love a drug to the church story. We love a redemption. The street had us. Well, he came to the church, and I agree. That was probably one of the moments where I was like, "Oh, look at, he's so much better. He's singing for the Lord."
He made it.
Right. And Baby Doll was there. I was like, oh,
because I didn't even see, like, there was a couple of plot twists that I didn't see coming this movie, and that was one of them. Like when he said I thought that he was gonna have someone like singing their songs, and even when the person started singing, I was like, oh, something's happening. And then when I saw it was Eddie, I was like,
no, I was confused though. I was confused because I was like, the last time that they mentioned Eddie before the church scene was on the radio where they were like, he was in the shootout with the police. And I was like, why is he not in jail? Like,
how are they just gonna skip over that? A shootout with the police?
Like,
what? He should have been dead. Like, I'm surprised.
I feel like that was them showing how disconnected they all were. The fact that he heard on the radio, it was like a thing that clicked in his brain that you saw that like he actually like listened to it. The fact that he still went to go pursue and see if his other brother was cheating on him with his fiance, I was like, oh, y'all don't care about this man. Like probably after Jimmy got killed and like even when he wanted to come back and he wanted to get back in the group and they just gave him money and pushed away, like I feel like it's a very real thing with people and their family members, like who are really addicted to drugs and it's in the streets. Like once you kind of hear stuff, you get desensitized to it. And so I was just like, dang, that he really don't care that this man is going to shoot it out, might die. Yeah. I don't know. And then we see him in church. I was like, I don't know. I guess there are some people that like kind of just disappear and you don't hear about them and they come back and you're just like, oh, they're better now. So
and they always in church.
Always in church. Gotta be.
It's the 90s. What, you thought he wasn't going back to the church? No. Church is where it's at.
So how do we feel about watching this movie as late as we are watching it in 2022?
Want to go first, Bobby? I mean,
better late than never. And you know what? I was telling somebody at my job that I had never seen Jaws, and I've never seen some other blockbuster, like really big movie. And he was like, well, listen, Bobby, like when you do watch it for the first time, you know, everyone else will be jealous because they don't get to experience that anymore. But you do. You get to be a first watcher. And so that actually made me feel really good about myself. And I'm like, you know, I'm just enjoying the fact that I even saw it at all, because if I had watched this movie and I was 8, I definitely would have felt different about it. Like I would have just lived the whole time, you know, but now going into it with more knowledge and background, I guess, I'm able to like dissect it and think a little bit more analytically about it, but I'm still here for a good time. I don't know. I told somebody yesterday that I was watching it for today, this recording, and he just immediately started singing a song. He was like, I got nothing for love for you, baby. And I was like, oh, see, I want that, and I'm going to get it. And so I don't know. I don't feel any type of way about it. I definitely used to be super embarrassed to tell people I'd never seen the 5 Heartbeats, and they would immediately fall out like, girl, get your life. But now I'm just here for a good time. I'm here for a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it just, watching it now in a completely different decade, I feel like it just says a lot about the writing of it because it still holds up. It's still a good movie. It's still a movie that I would show my kids. And I agree, seeing it as an adult and not like with a whole bunch of family members and stuff like that, like you can watch it differently for the first time. Like if I, like you said, if I was 8, like this wouldn't have meant anything to me. I just would have been able to say that I watched it and that's about it. I think most people who watched it probably don't even remember most of it because it was so long ago and people don't really rewatch movies, hence the reason why I had never seen it before. So I feel like seeing it as an adult, you really get to like go on that emotional journey with them. And I feel like also watching it from the perspective of someone in the film industry, it's just different. It's different, and I think it gives me a better appreciation for the movie, for the writing, for the characters, for like the music composition. Even I watched all of the credits, and like before I didn't really like watch the credits, but as an adult and as someone who likes to watch movies, I watched it, and he was giving like a shout out to his mom. He gave a shout out to all the big like music figures in the industry. Like it kind of made me wish that they did that now, like made more personalized credits. And you know, outside the Marvel universe, no one really sits and watch credits anymore. So it was nice to be able to like kind of watch it as a capsule from that time.
Yeah, I mean, all I was doing was watching Disney and Nickelodeon Cartoon Network. So but I've had the time to watch the 5 Heartbeats before like high school or whatever. So, and I don't know, I grew up, like I would watch some older movies, but that was because it would come on BET or it would come on VH1 or whatever. but I didn't go out of my way to like find Black movies. And like you were saying, like I would not have appreciated it at 14. Like I was just trying to focus on getting through chemistry. Like it would not have mattered to me. And so now watching that and like kind of not necessarily knowing what they were going through, but being able to understand what they were going through, I think it's better to watch it now. I'm glad that I waited to watch it and I didn't watch it when I was like 5 years ago or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because now I can like really appreciate it and appreciate the like, especially with this being our field, being able to look and be critical about it and not just watch a movie to watch it. Because I did that so many times in the past, just watching movies because it's on TV or watching movies because whatever. And like now I can actually like look at it and see like, did I actually enjoy this movie or did I like just watch it because it was on? Like, and I actually wanted to see this. Like I have thought about seeing this, but I just didn't know the plot of it. I just like there was like lists that say like the top Black movies you should watch, and this one was on it, and I was like, because I was in a Black Hollywood class, and people were talking about, oh, I've seen this, and blah blah blah. It was a great movie, and I was like, I should watch it.
Did they see it though? Because people be lying.
Okay, people do be lying. So I was like, well, y'all hyping it up. I guess I should watch it. But like, I mean, I guess they did because it was a great movie. I did enjoy it. So props to them. Shout out to them. It didn't happen until like 3 years. But you know,
it's fine.
But it happened. Okay. So yeah. Do we have any other like questions or any confusing moments that we need to address?
I noticed when they during that whole scene where like the white people were on the record cover, I noticed that they were at the Cleveland Greyhound station during that scene, and it just made me laugh because I've been at the Cleveland Greyhound station before, and there is always some shit going down at that station. And I'm like,
that is hilarious because Ohio is not mentioned as one of the places that this movie was filmed, but I digress. I digress. How do I feel about it? Do I have any more thoughts? Can you see that? Can you see that word there?
It says none.
I have no more thoughts. No more thoughts.
Do I have any other thoughts? The music was great. I do have one more thought.
Okay.
Jimmy's accident scene was awkward to me. It looked fake. It looked weird.
Oh, when he got killed?
Mm-hmm, when he got hit by a garbage truck or whatever. I was like...
You know, he get hit from the side, and the next thing I know, his face is on the windshield.
Yeah, I was like, he's on top of the car. I was like, this don't make sense.
I appreciated that they got rid of the door. You know, that made sense. The door was open, you know.
The door is getting knocked to the ground. Why isn't he getting knocked to the ground?
You know, physics is crazy.
Not physics.
Man, you know, I don't even know how they would film that in like the late 80s, 90s to make it look real, to be completely honest. Like it was very like A, B, C, D, E, he's on the ground. Like it was very you could see every like bit of it. Mm-hmm. You know, it happened exactly the way I would expect it to happen being filmed during that time.
Yeah, for the 90s movie for sure. But I mean, they could have like anything. Like they could have like made it look like the truck was just like going over his body. Like if they put the camera underneath the truck.
There was a lot more options.
You know, like it could have just been like a POV shot of the truck the entire time and we just see him falling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, or POV, his POV, the truck, and then next thing you know, he's on the ground. He's looking at the bottom of the truck, you know?
I would have even loved that they threw like a dummy in there and like set the dummy up. It would have looked so fake, but I still would have appreciated it if they showed like the truck hitting a dummy, because I feel like when he got hit, they set it to where his body like was rolling in between the car and the pickup in the grocery, whatever it was. His body was rolling up against his car. Which, yeah, if the door was gone,
the door's on,
doesn't really make sense for him to be up against a window.
And then on the ground.
Anything else? I digress.
Well, I will say though, I did like the jump cuts that they did between her running down the stairs and like the elevator.
That was good.
That was good. I did like that. It's just,
what's that called? Parallel action.
Parallel.
Yes.
Come on, education.
Parallel action.
Come on, education.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah, that was good. They did a good job. I do also have one more thing.
Yeah.
I noticed that Ruth Carter was the costume designer for this movie, which I was really excited about because I've been wanting to watch more of the movies that she's done because I think she's done like 80 something and she just won her first Oscar for Black Panther. And so after that, I was like, this lady must have the magic touch. So seeing her name pop up at the beginning was exciting for me, I must say, even though I'm not into costume design at all, don't know much about it. I just like the fact that she won.
Yeah. Yeah. And the costumes were good in this movie. I really liked them. All right.
And that's all I have to say.
I think that's all I have to say. Bree, you got anything else to say?
I have nothing. I digress.
So then, we need our final ratings for the 5 heartbeats. So how many out of 5 hot combs are we giving this movie?
How many do you think I'm giving it?
We know your answer.
Is it 5?
6 out of 5. It's a 6 out of 5. It was great. It was it's held the test of time. I feel like there's a lot of movies that was made back then that are just trash. And I feel like this was one of those, like, it kind of reminded me of like The Best Man. Like, I could go back and watch this movie. Like, it has that type of like cult classic for the Black community. And
yeah,
I feel like the fact that they were making cult classics back then and they didn't know means it stands the test of time. And we are doing 6 hot combs out of 5. We're getting those edges straight. And that's how I feel about it.
Boom, boom.
All right, Bobby.
I'm gonna go with 4. I'm gonna go 4 hot combs out of 5, just because I'm a tough judge. And if I give something a 5, it's going to change my life. This is the movie that I will be showing not only to my children, but to my grandchildren. I will have this movie on my tombstone, It was still good.
All right. I would like to give it a 4.5. So maybe not a full hot cone, but like an extra cord, an extra cord for the hot cone.
Okay, well, extension cord, just to make it reach.
Cord. Right.
Yeah.
4.5 out of 5. Yeah. I thought it was a great movie. I had my little, things that I was a little picky about that I was like, why is that? Why is this? Because the math is not mathing on that. But other than that, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it gave drama, it gave some comedy, it gave some serious in a lot of places, but I thought it was good. I thought it was really good.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all, we did it. That has been another episode, our first episode of Hot Combs and Popcorn.
Yes.
You know about us now.
Okay. Thank you all for listening. And again, my name is Danielle.
My name is Brianna.
And I'm Bobby.
And if you haven't already done so, please make sure to follow and subscribe on our YouTube and our Apple Podcast. Throw us a like, share the episode, leave us a comment below. We want to know if you've seen it. If you haven't, this is a safe space. It's all right. You still got time to watch it. So we want to know what your thoughts are on it and, what we should review next. So thank you guys again for watching. Bye.
Ah!